Welcome to Nightfall Horrors, where the shadows stretch longer, the silence speaks louder, and every story creeps under your skin. This channel is your gateway to the strange, the unexplained, and the utterly terrifying. True encounters, twisted folklore, and nightmares you won't forget, no matter how hard you try. If you're drawn to what lurks just beyond the campfire, what moves in the woods when no one's looking, what watches even now from the corner of your screen, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So before we dive into tonight's tale, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon, because here at Nightfall Horrors, the darkness is always waiting, and it wants you to come back. Now, turn down the lights, plug in your headphones, and don't look behind you. Let's begin. Tyler spent the first few hours unpacking, trying to settle into the lonely, echoing silence of the lighthouse. But as the day turned to night, the atmosphere shifted. He could feel it. The wind outside howled like a distant scream, rattling the windows. The lighthouse creaked and groaned as though it was alive, settling into the evening's chill. Tyler shrugged off the discomfort and made himself a simple dinner, the flickering light of his lantern casting long shadows across the small room. He tried to distract himself, but then it started. A faint tapping. A soft, rhythmic sound from somewhere above him, a slow, deliberate pace echoing through the wooden floors. It was distant at first, easy to dismiss, but as the minutes passed, the tapping grew louder, closer. Tyler froze mid-bite, his fork clattering to the plate. He sat still, listening intently. It was unmistakable now. Someone or something was walking above him. He rose from his chair, cautiously stepping toward the stairs that led to the tower. His feet creaked loudly against the old floorboards, but the tapping continued, steady and unrelenting. Tyler's heart began to race, his breath shallow as he moved toward the narrow staircase leading up. He paused at the bottom, straining to hear. Nothing. Silence. He moved up a few steps, each one creaking louder, the sound reverberating in his ears. But the moment his foot hit the top step, the noise stopped. Dead. Silence again. Confused and unnerved, Tyler pushed open the door at the top of the stairs, but it was empty, nothing but dust and old furniture. And yet, the hairs on the back of his neck stood up as he felt an overwhelming sense of presence, as if something was watching him from the shadows. The next morning, Tyler explored the lighthouse, trying to make sense of the strange events from the night before. The space was small and cramped, a forgotten relic of a bygone era. But in one corner of the keeper's room, he discovered something unexpected. Hidden beneath the floorboards was an old, tattered journal, its leather cover worn and cracked from years of neglect. Tyler opened it slowly. The pages yellowed with age. The handwriting was messy, frantic, as if the writer had been in a hurry, or perhaps desperate to record something important. He began to read aloud, his voice echoing through the silence of the lighthouse. The light doesn't just guide ships, it calls to them, it knows when they're near. At night, it pulls them in. Those who come too close will never leave. The light doesn't stop until it takes what it wants. We are the keepers, but we too are its prisoners. Tyler's hand trembled as he turned the page, his mind racing with questions. He thought about leaving, about packing up and running, but something stopped him. The same pull, the same force that had drawn him here, kept him tethered to the lighthouse, and now it seemed the light was calling him too. The next entry in the journal was more disturbing. I've seen them, the shadows in the light. I can't escape them. They want me to join them, and I fear when the light calls me, I won't be able to resist. Tyler's breath hitched as he closed the journal. The voices had started again, this time whispering his name. That night, Tyler tried to rest, but sleep would not come. The storm outside had intensified, and the wind howled like a banshee. He lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, his mind racing with the stories in the journal. But then, from the darkness, he heard it. A whisper. Soft, barely audible at first. His heart skipped a beat. He sat up, straining to hear. The wind? No, this was different. It was too clear, too deliberate. He swung his legs off the bed, his feet cold against the wooden floor. The whispers grew louder, almost urgent now. Tyler, come to the light. Tyler stood up, his hands shaking. He felt like something was inside his head, twisting his thoughts, urging him forward. The pull was too strong, too compelling. He stepped toward the door, his breath ragged. The whispers were almost deafening now, surrounding him, pressing in from all directions. Tyler moved toward the lighthouse tower, drawn by an invisible force. The room felt colder as he ascended the spiral staircase, each step heavy with dread. The whispers reached a fever pitch. "You can't escape." Tyler reached the top of the tower, his pulse racing. The light, the beam, was brighter now, casting a sickly, pale glow across the jagged cliffs below. It flickered erratically, like a dying flame. But as Tyler watched, it steadied, shining down on the rocks with an unnatural intensity. Tyler stood at the top of the lighthouse tower, his breath visible in the cold, damp air. The light flickered once more before steadying, casting its sickly glow across the coastline. But as Tyler stared at the beam, he saw something. A figure standing at the edge of the cliff. The figure was pale, almost translucent, with hollow eyes that glowed faintly in the light. Tyler's heart thudded painfully in his chest. The figure didn't move, didn't blink. It simply stood there, staring out at the sea. Tyler reached out, his hand trembling as he stepped toward the figure. But as he did, the figure seemed to dissolve into the light, vanishing into thin air. Suddenly, the whispering voices grew louder, more insistent. "Tyler, come to us." The shadows around him shifted, moving like tendrils, as if the lighthouse itself were alive, reaching out to claim him. The light seemed to pulse now, its beam expanding and contracting, drawing him closer, almost suffocating him with its weight. Tyler's heart pounded as he turned to run, but the door he had come through, the door to the stairs, was gone. The lighthouse had closed in, trapping him in its beam. The shadows seemed to close in on him, wrapping around his body like cold hands. Tyler turned back toward the light, his chest tight with fear. That was when he saw her, the figure from earlier, now standing directly before him. Her face was pale, almost featureless, except for the hollow black eyes that seemed to stare straight into his soul. "It's too late, Tyler," she whispered. Her voice was soft, sweet even, but there was a malevolent edge to it. "You've stepped into the light, and now it will take you." Tyler tried to back away, but his body refused to move. The light, the beam, pulled at him, drawing him closer. It was suffocating, overwhelming. "There is no escape," the figure whispered, her voice chillingly cold. "Once the light calls you, you belong to it. Forever." Tyler reached out, but his hand was frozen. The figure's smile twisted, her mouth stretching impossibly wide, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. The last thing Tyler saw was her face, smiling at him as the light consumed him completely. The camera fades to black, the screams of Tyler echoing in the distance. But the light remains, flickering as it always has, waiting for the next soul to come close. The lighthouse stands tall on the edge of the cliff, its beam casting its eerie glow across the sea. And in the distance, a new figure appears. A figure stepping toward the light. The cycle begins again. Well, that was the terrifying tale of Tyler and the haunted lighthouse. Do you think there's something supernatural about the light, or could it all just be the work of an overactive mind? Have you ever felt drawn to a place as though something or someone was pulling you toward it? Could you resist the call of the unknown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this spine-chilling story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss out on another terrifying tale. And share this story with someone who dares to listen. But don't blame me if they can't sleep tonight. What's the scariest place you've ever visited? Or maybe you have your own ghost story to share. Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.